Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to welcome you guys to the AFC podcast. A lot to talk about here with this particular story. This story comes out of a place called Cincinnati. And I got a lot to say here. So before I even get disrespectful with this story, and I want you guys to understand that something has been done bad to our children. So please understand before we even get into this, I want everybody to check their emotions at the door as if I told you don't wear shoes in my house. You dig? This particular story is going to have some content that you might find offensive or controversial. My sources come from multiple places, including the courts and police. My commentary might bother you as well, so you might want to have some thick skin. Viewer discretion is advised. That is your official disclaimer. It is a damn shame that I have to do that each and every stream, but I wanted to make sure to let you guys know before you get offended. Now, this story involves children that were abused, and here's what I find very unique, and I want to thank y'all who use my email. As you guys can see, my email address is right here, theafcmatters@gmail.com. If you are sending me messages any other place, you're sending it to the wrong place. My email address is the best place to reach me, theafcmatters@gmail.com. A lot of people sent this story. What I find absolutely wild is, number one, the failure of the parents in this story, and number two, when you're expecting for a lineage to have a backup plan, to have some support like a grandmother and a grandfather, for them to turn around and also participate in the abuse of children, that is a failure on an entire culture of a family. That is just flat out ridiculous and just can't happen. So before y'all feel bad about me talking about these decrepit looking individuals on my screen, don't get in your feelings. But the parents of a Cheviot woman accused of abusing her stepson now face charges for also abusing the boy and helping Amy Dangle, Dangel, abuse him. Armin, let me get their pictures back up on the screen because I don't know the difference. I just know they're old. Armin, who is 70 years old, and Susan, I guess that's Susan on the right-hand side of the screen, 67 years old. She looks like she could probably be close at about a good 92 in the face. I don't know what type of witchcraft they put on that woman's face or why her lips literally look like the McDonald's arch or what country she got her lips done in Bolivia or something. I don't know where the hell she got that work done. But God dog, that woman looks like whatever you did, ma'am, you shouldn't have did it. God damn it. Jesus. Woo! Anyway, let's move on. Both of those old individuals, these two were indicted, and I want y'all to remember they were indicted on charges of child endangerment and complicity. But what's funny about that is you'll actually have more people that are getting mad about me cracking jokes about people who hurt kids as opposed to I thought we were here to stand up for kids, right? Right? We won't stand up for our babies, but we'll get mad about a couple of jokes against bad people. But Amy faces 11 counts of child endangering. Let me get Amy back up on the screen so you guys can see who's who. Amy Rodriguez and Anthony Dangle. Those are the parents from what I understand. Okay? Amy faces 11 counts of child endangering for abusing the boy from 2018 through April of 2021. Dangle forced the boy to stand in a corner for days. Let me say that again. For days. Not for minutes. Not for hours, an hour or two. No. Days at a time. And I think about something, and I don't know why parents don't just apply natural logic to a situation and say, if I'm going to put my child through something, I should be able to go through what they're being put through. So if I can make my child stand there for days, shouldn't I as a parent be able to stand in that same corner for days? Oh, let's see. Yeah, you're old and decrepit. You couldn't do it. So why would you make a kid do it? Right? These parents don't look like they're the picture of health, like they're not in the best shape. They don't look like gymnasts to me. They wouldn't be able to stand in a corner for days. Like, you got things to do. You got to go to work. You got to go to sleep. Like, you can't, the human body is not meant to withstand that. So if you can't do it as an adult, Why would you do it to a kid? But you know, it's funny. I say that, and I know y'all that are watching, y'all get it. But the funny part is I still will get people in the comment section that will argue me and tell me that when I'm saying about what their behavior was, I'm the wrong for having that opinion, for taking that stance against these people. But let's move on. They forced this child to stand in a corner for days, DAYS, plural. They strapped him to his bed and repeatedly beat on him, according to investigators. Oh, and I also forgot to say, I'm getting this information from local12.com. So if y'all want to sue somebody for the details, then y'all go sue them, because that's their words. This boy was also malnourished and faced long-term effects from his treatment. Anthony Dangle, the boy's father, is accused of allowing Amy to abuse the boy. So he saw something, didn't say something, and yes, I think he needs just as much time in prison as everybody else who participated in it. According to the indictment, Amy's parents also took part in the abuse during that time and allowed Amy to abuse him. Court documents don't indicate what her parents allegedly did to him, but I'm sure that'll come out. Local 12 spoke with the victim's biological aunt, Heather Combs. She describes the family accused of abusing her nephew as evil and monsters. So think about that for a moment. Their own family members described them as evil and monsters. Hashtag not my words. I don't know how else to describe somebody like that, according to Coombs. Delhi Township Police say that the victim's grandparents are accused of similar abuse in their home. Coombs said that she's not surprised to learn about the boy's grandparents also facing charges. It was sickening. Like, I noticed it right away. My brother and I were both in the healthcare field, and we noticed the limping, the gait that he was also walking with, and then he started telling us it hurts to walk, and his knees would hurt, and his hips would hurt. Coombs says that Coombs says it's been a long time since she's seen her nephew. Lisa Dangle, the mother of the boys, so that's the biological mother, Coombs' sister, died in January of 2016. The victim and his little brother lived with Anthony and Amy. Immediately, they wouldn't let any of us see the boys. They kept them from us immediately, even before Lisa had passed, Coombs said. I would send messages to their dad pleading to be able to see them on birthdays, holidays, and things like that. We would just get ignored. Coombs says that her family had no idea their older nephew was being abused. As for the younger brother, also in the home, we don't know if he was abused to the extent of his older brother, Coombs said. He was younger. Things could have happened prior to him being able to remember. Who knows if he's blocking those things out? And she's talking about mentally, which makes sense. Lieutenant Joe, I cannot pronounce his name. I'm sorry. Lieutenant Joe with the Delhi Township Police called this situation tragic. The grandparents had every opportunity to not follow through with the wishes of their daughter and continue the punishment, but they didn't. They chose to continue that. Years later, the family wants justice. They promised to keep the boy safe. He's never going to have to ask for food or steal food or eat food out of a garbage can again, or sleep on the bare floor and not have clothes. He will have everything he needs because that's how a child should live, Coombs said. Coombs says that the victim just turned 14 years old in March. She says he is in therapy and making strides and is at a healthy weight. He and his little brother are living with their uncle. I wish they didn't even say that, but it's in the article. It's public information now. The Rodriguezes were arrested Monday night, and they are due in court on Thursday. Amy and Anthony are both out on bond. Let me say that again. They are out on bond. Their next court appearance are set for June the 29th, and I hope that they do not let them around those kids at all. Prosecutor Joe Dieters released a statement. The torture perpetrated on this young child is unimaginable. He is safe now and with family members who love him. I hope in time he will heal from the horrible things that have been done to him. Let me go ahead and give you guys the fair usage, And let's take a look at a couple of news videos. Here we go. Let's get it. Federal law allows citizens to reproduce, distribute, or exhibit portions of copyrighted motion pictures, videotapes, or video discs under certain circumstances without the authorization of the copyright holder. This is called fair use. It is allowed for purposes of criticism, news reporting, teaching, and parody, which doesn't infringe of copyright under 17 U.S.C. 107. And if you guys would do me a favor, we want to have at least one thumb up for everybody who's watching. So please click that thumbs up and share in support of these boys and share their stories so more people can know about this story if you would. Thank you. Here we go. Let's get it.
Good evening, everyone. We're going to get to the very latest on the war in Ukraine in just a moment, but we begin tonight with a disturbing story right here at home. A mother accused of beating her stepson so brutally he may have lifelong injuries, and a father accused of doing nothing about it. Cassie Arsenault leads us off tonight with new details from a neighbor who says it was obvious the woman treated her stepchildren differently. Cassie.
Paula, these are unthinkable allegations. Amy Rodriguez, she's accused of abusing her 13-year-old stepson. The prosecutor's office claims she did things like make him stand in a corner for days on end, strapped him to a bed, beat him with spoons and belts, even starving him, just to name a few. And like you mentioned, his biological father, Anthony Dangle, is accused of doing nothing, not stopping the abuse and not reporting it. Now, we have a picture of both Rodriguez and Dangle, who were indicted today. Now, Dangle has worked for the Miami Township Fire Department for the last 14 years. We're talking about a person expected to protect and serve us. Now he's on unpaid leave. Rodriguez has not worked there since she was put on medical leave in 2019. She's also accused of not giving her stepson adequate bedding, blankets, or even clothes. The prosecutor tells me the victim suffers from PTSD and he even has some damage to his legs and feet as a result of being forced to stand in the corner for significant periods of time. A neighbor and a friend who grew up next to the family on Trevor Avenue tells me it was obvious to everyone that she treated her stepsons differently than her two biological children.
I mean, there was rumors before about it and whatnot, but it was nothing was ever brought to light of how bad it was. It was just, she might have fed one kid and didn't feed the other at the time and something like that, but they kept the majority of what was going on hidden.
And Prosecutor Dieters, I know there was other children living in the home at the time. Is there any indication why this child got the brunt of this abuse?
I don't know the answer to that, but I can tell you that many times in these abusive situations, it's the non-biological parent who does the abuse.
Yeah.
It happens a lot.
Now, all of the children at this time are in the custody of Family Services, and Dangle and Rodriguez will face a judge on Wednesday. Live downtown, I'm Cassie Arsenault, Local 12 News.
Unthinkable. Thank you, Cassie. Well, if convicted, Rodriguez faces decades in prison. It is up to 3 years for Dangle. A case of child abuse widens its scope. The parents of a local woman who's already charged in the horrific abuse of her stepson are now also accused of abusing the boy themselves.
Armin and Susan Rodriguez are facing charges of child endangering and complicity. Local 12's Genesis Snaros is following this disturbing story for us tonight. She joins us here in studio after talking with the victim's biological aunt. Jenna, this is just awful.
It really is, Kyle. And the victim's aunt tells me she's not surprised to learn about the boy's grandparents also facing charges. These are unthinkable allegations, like making the teenage boy stand in a corner for days, strapping him in his bed, repeatedly beating him, and that's just to name a few.
Evil monsters. I don't know how else to describe somebody like that.
Those are the words Heather Combs uses to describe the family accused of abusing her nephew.
It was sickening. I noticed it right away. We noticed the limping and the gait that he was walking with. And then he started telling us it hurts to walk and his knees would hurt.
Combs says it's been a long time since she's seen her nephew. Lisa Dangle, the mother of the boy and Combs' sister, died in January of 2016. The victim and his little brother lived with their biological father, Anthony Dangle, and stepmom, Amy Dangle.
They kept them from us immediately, even before Lisa had passed. I would send messages to their dad, pleading to be able to see them, birthdays, holidays, things like that.
Combs says her family had no idea their older nephew was being abused. As for the younger brother, also in the home,
we don't know if he was abused to the extent of his older brother.
Amy Dangle faces 11 counts of child endangering for allegedly abusing the boy from 2018 through April of 2021. Anthony Dangle is accused of doing nothing to stop the abuse. According to the indictment, Amy's parents also took part in the abuse during that time and allowed Amy to abuse him.
It's a tragic situation. The grandparents had every opportunity to not follow through with the wishes of their daughter and continue the punishment.
He's never going to have to ask for food or steal food or eat food out of a garbage can.
Years later, this family wants justice and promises to keep the boys safe.
He's never going to have to ask for food or steal food or eat food out of a garbage can. He will have everything he needs because that's how a child should live.
WLWT News 5.
Thanks so much. Well, new on WLWT, a couple from Cheviot faces a dozen charges of child endangering after prosecutors say they abused a child for years. The Hamilton County prosecutor says Anthony Dangle and his wife, Amy Rodriguez Dangle, both worked for the Miami Township Fire Department. He says the abuse went on for 3 years. He says Rodriguez would force the victim, who's now 13, to stand in a corner for days at a time, would withhold food and beat him with belts and also refuse to let him go to the bathroom. Prosecutors say the victim has PTSD, was underweight, and has lasting damage to his legs and feet. A Cincinnati.
All right. So for me to give my closing thoughts, again, I think it is the most egregious failure of a family when your last line of defense, which was the term I was looking for earlier, when you can't trust your grandparents, it's just like, man, who can you trust? And I think this is just a complete failure of a whole family lineage. Just throw the whole family away, man. It's absolutely sad, but I am glad that the aunt did come out and say what she said, or Coombs. I don't remember if she was the aunt, but that lady. But I was glad that she came out and called this what it was. She called them evil and monsters. That's what they are. And I don't see why they even need to be out in society again. I think that once you violate children in this way, I don't want them to ever have another opportunity to do it again. And if you let them out of jail, which is why these should be life sentences, there's a potential that they could do it again to another child. Okay? But that's just my thoughts. But let me know what you guys think about this story. Thank y'all to those who emailed it to me. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. That's what we got it for. Let's open up this discussion. Let's share these stories and get justice for our babies. Okay? Thank you.